Joining us now, Josh Ritter, former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, also the host of the Courtroom Confidential on YouTube. Good morning to you, Josh. Good to see you as always. Prosecutors have to connect the dots between Diddy being of poor character, right? All these, horrible sex parties and acts versus a criminal act. Is Kid Cudi their way to connect those dots today as he takes the stand?
I think he's definitely a step in that direction. And what's interesting about him as a witness and what makes him unique is that the defense can't make the same arguments that this is just someone who is looking for opportunities and someone who's looking for fame or someone who's looking for to gain prestige and money out of this whole thing, because Kid Cudi has independent success. Kid Cudi's motivations for testifying can be argued by the prosecution are entirely coming from a place of trying to tell the truth. And so there isn't that same kind of element that the defense can get into in arguing that this is just someone who's, looking for an opportunity during this trial.
He's just yet another witness for the prosecution taking the stand with damning evidence against Diddy in these years of, sex-fueled parties. How will the defense argue that once it's their turn? What types of witnesses can we expect them to call?
The defense is really trying to drive home the point that, as deplorable as you may find this to be, as deviant as you may find this to be, was not done without consent. And that might seem extraordinary for us watching, hearing some of the things that these people went through. But it really is the idea that, listen, if people were unhappy about it, that had to have been communicated. If people were reluctant, that doesn't necessarily equate to non-consensual. And that's the point they really have to drive home, because the entire prosecution case hinges on that, being able to connect the dots between all of these crimes that we see. And a lot of it is crimes, but being able to connect it to the crimes charged, the federal racketeering and the trafficking, really requires for them to show that this was all done without consent. And I imagine, there's plenty of trial to be had. I imagine the prosecution will connect those dots, but that is the point that the defense is really going to try to drive home.
We're hearing the prosecution is ahead of schedule. Boy, this jury has a tough job ahead. Josh Ritter, thanks as always.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.